how much can you actually fit into a 67-year life? Today we're going to meet one of the greatest proofs of just how much. Someone truly mysterious. Honestly, there's almost no one who hasn't heard his name. One of the founding minds of science and art. One of the most important geniuses the world has ever known. And if we said he was, quite simply, the most talented human being who ever lived, we wouldn't be wrong. So today, we're leaving you alone with the most fascinating moments in the life of one of the greatest geniuses the world has ever produced. Leonardo da Vinci. Turn the calendar back to April 15th, 1452. He's born in the small town of Vinci, Italy. Leonardo's mother is a servant, and some sources even say she was a slave, taken from the Ottoman Empire. His father is a notary. Born out of wedlock, Leonardo can't attend a normal school like the other children. And maybe that was actually his first stroke of luck in life. Because, thank goodness he was born the way he was. Because fate was about to drag him into an incredible journey that would make him one of the greatest geniuses the world has ever seen. Soon after, his mother remarries, so Leonardo goes to live with his grandmother and grandfather. He stays with them until he's 14. Then, when his father remarries too, he takes Leonardo in. Because he was born illegitimate, he's technically supposed to be shut out from the beauty of science and art. The law won't let him go to school, and on top of all that, he's stuck spending time with his alcoholic uncle, a man who was, let's just say, a full-blown drinker and quite the playboy. But in his memoirs, we read about the nature walks he took with that same uncle, watching birds, studying the beauty of the natural world. And it's here, at a young age, that Leonardo begins questioning all this natural beauty around him. He starts reflecting those questions through his own drawings. And of course, when a genius draws, it's never just a drawing. These sketches were so beautiful, they left everyone who saw them in awe. Leonardo had all the traits of a prodigy. His drawings were becoming incredibly detailed, down to the finest lines. And somewhere in the middle of all this drawing, he realizes something. He can use both hands. While his right hand is painting, his left hand can write at the very same time. Yes, at the same time. And here's the strangest part. Every time he wrote something down, he wrote it backwards. To this day, if you want to read most of what Leonardo da Vinci wrote, you need a mirror. His drawings left the people around him absolutely stunned. One day his father saw them too, and he couldn't hide his own shock. Without wasting any time, his father decides to send him to an art workshop in Florence to develop this gift. And so begin Leonardo da Vinci's years in Florence. He starts training under a towering figure in sculpture and painting, a master named Verrocchio. These are the years when art, and the artist himself, truly explode. Leonardo has arrived at the very heart of the art world. Nobles, scientists, and figures from the art world are all commissioning works from Master Verrocchio. Sculptures, paintings, various constructions, extravagant garden designs. He handles it all. And of course, there's no shortage of mythological and religious frescoes and paintings either. This is where Leonardo begins training under a master whose name commanded enormous respect. And it isn't just painting and sculpture here. He also studies music and mathematics. This art academy in Florence is a phenomenal environment for him to develop his own craft. And it's the sfumato technique, later developed by Leonardo himself, that will take his very first step toward true mastery. One day, Master Verrocchio is working on paintings commissioned by nobles. Small retouches need to be added beside the religious imagery, tiny objects that need to be painted in. So he has his students handle these small details. There's one painting depicting the baptism of Jesus Christ, and for one small section, just like with his other students, he asks Leonardo to paint a small angel. When Leonardo finishes painting that angel, his fellow students are left speechless. Word spreads quietly among them. that not even the great master himself could have painted it better. Master Verrocchio sees the painting. He looks at the angel Leonardo has painted. He puts his hand on Leonardo's back. Then he takes the brush in his hand and snaps it clean in half, which, in this context, is actually the highest sign of respect. Word of this spreads like wildfire. It's that beautiful, such a beautiful painting of an angel, that he says, "From this hour on, I will never paint again," and never picks up a brush again. What truly makes this painting so significant is that Leonardo managed to capture even the emotional state, the very soul of that angel. Leonardo puts his signature on countless paintings and works just like this one. The talent he possesses is nothing short of superhuman. Slowly, word of him spreads. In that era, wealthy families would typically take scientists, inventors, and artists under their protection. Before long, one of the wealthiest names of the time, Lorenzo de' Medici, takes Leonardo under his own patronage. Medici plays an enormously important role in his development. Many people begin to notice this raw talent in Leonardo. Among his greatest supporters are Sandro Botticelli, his own master Verrocchio, Domenico Ghirlandaio, and even Michelangelo. But the biggest step of all is taken by Lorenzo de' Medici himself. One day, Medici introduces him to the Duke of Milan. Not long after, Leonardo sends Sforza, and surprisingly, despite being a painter by trade, it's mostly filled with mechanical drawings, detailed sketches useful for laying siege to a fortress, war-ready inventions, carriages fitted with blades on their wheels. Alongside all that, he even includes plans for a 2-story city layout, designed with diseases like the plague in mind. After reviewing everything, Sforza decides to take Leonardo under his wing, but not as an artist. He brings him on as a stage designer. In that era, performance art held enormous importance. From costumes to props, set construction to lighting, everything had to be grand and utterly extravagant. These shows featured flying men, structures that shrank and expanded, all kinds of transitions and mechanisms, and sets built using perspective in wildly different ways. In an environment like this, Leonardo poured everything he had into developing his craft. Alongside military engineering, he also mastered the art of stage design. During one particular performance called Paradise, the sheer originality of his designs became the talk of the town. Moving sets, flying people, buildings that shifted position. His reputation only grew from there. Leonardo was pushing his art to its absolute peak. And of course, he doesn't stop there. Leonardo da Vinci's drawing of the Vitruvian Man is, quite simply, the most beautiful reflection of how he saw the world. This drawing is so detailed, so intricate, that it contains the golden ratio found in the human form, the very philosophy of human anatomy within it. It brings the microcosm of man and the macrocosm of the universe together, perfectly intersecting them within a circle and a square. He believed this was the true inspiration behind painting itself. To take his studies even deeper, he dissects the bodies of the dead. Then he draws them in painstaking detail. Countless sketches, countless notes, countless details. He spends years perfecting his craft through them. By the end of all this work, Leonardo further refines what we now call the sfumato technique, his own special painting method. From this point on, Leonardo da Vinci is on the verge of a body of work that will revolutionize painting itself, especially the art of portraiture. According to Leonardo, a truly great painter must be able to capture two things above all: the human being and the intentions hidden inside their mind. The first one is simple, but the second is genuinely difficult, because that second element has to be conveyed through gestures, facial expressions, the movement of the arms and legs. Movement itself has to communicate what's happening in the mind. And this, right here, is where Leonardo da Vinci's greatness, his genius, truly comes from. This is exactly how he brought about a revolution in painting. To master the art of painting even further, Da Vinci devoted himself to anatomy, architecture, medicine, the visual arts, music, and writing. On these subjects, he wrote thousands of pages. He produced countless drawings. And through them, the works he created stirred genuine emotion. works that people are still talking about today. He wrote more than 70 books in total, over 10 on medicine, more than 8 on engineering and architecture, over 3 on religion. He also tackled subjects like theology, astronomy, and space. He even wrote about how birds use air pressure and the principle of action and reaction to control their flight. A full 200 years before Newton. Can you even imagine that? A painter, influencing science 200 years before it happens. What we call Leonardo's master period begins, in particular, with his move to Paris. In France, he comes under the protection of King Francois. The king admires him so deeply, he's utterly convinced that Leonardo da Vinci is one of the greatest geniuses the world has ever produced. Around this time, one of his projects leads him to present a proposal to the great empire of that era, the Ottoman Empire. He describes a bridge over Istanbul's Golden Horn, a design never attempted before in any form. The structure would use no nails, no screws, no ropes, and no supporting piles at all, just a system of interlocking wooden blocks, engineered so their own weight would balance the entire bridge. He presents a plan for a truly astonishing bridge, 40 meters high and 24 meters wide, made of arches, with enough clearance underneath for ships to pass through. But for various reasons, the proposal is never carried out, and even though the original design sent with that proposal was never actually built on the Golden Horn, this brilliant idea has, in modern times, been tested and proven correct. A Norwegian artist named Vebjørn Sand studied Da Vinci's original plans and, in 2001, built this exact concept as a pedestrian and vehicle overpass in the town of Ås, near Oslo, Norway, proving, once and for all, that it could actually be built. Now, we can't really talk about Master Leonardo da Vinci without mentioning 3 of his works. Let's start with the first of these incredible, centuries-old masterpieces, the famous fresco at Santa Maria delle Grazie, that magnificent piece depicting the Last Supper of Christ. When we look at the painting, we see Jesus and the apostles who followed him, all captured in that moment. Our first shock comes from the reverse perspective, a leftover technique from the era of stage design. A stunning fusion of artificial and natural perspective, layered together. And here's the fascinating part. This piece wasn't painted on canvas at all. It was painted directly onto a wall. In fact, this room used to be the monastery's dining hall, and you can even see that the tapestries hanging on the wall continue the very same perspective as the painting itself. But there's another astonishing detail. Inside the building, the natural sunlight streaming in is reflected directly onto the fresco itself. But the thing that truly makes this painting so perfect is how the emotion of that exact moment is captured individually, in each and every apostle. Jesus announces the name of the apostle who will betray him, and right after he finishes speaking, almost as if inviting their reactions. And if you look closely enough, you can even pick out the man who will betray him, holding that small bag of silver he was bribed with, right there in his hand, and, in his panic, knocking over the salt shaker. So if your travels ever take you there, don't you dare skip the chance to see this masterpiece in person. Our second masterpiece from his master period, is Salvator Mundi, a portrait of Jesus Christ himself. Compared to his other works, this painting stands out, both in its sheer brilliance and in how masterfully it captures such mathematical complexity. But the thing that truly sets Salvator Mundi apart from his other works is that it's one of the most expensive paintings in the entire world. At first, it was sold for next to nothing, because people didn't even believe it was a genuine Leonardo da Vinci. But as science advanced, and art experts carried out detailed technical analysis, it was officially proven that this painting was entirely the work of Leonardo da Vinci. What was once worth just a few $1,000s was suddenly sold at a major auction, right after it was confirmed as an authentic Leonardo. Before that auction, it was purchased by an Italian buyer for $65 million, and just 2 days later, resold for $120 million. But its real value was determined at a more recent auction by none other than the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, and the number he paid is genuinely mind-boggling. $540 million. Yes, you heard that right. It sold for a staggering $540 million and now sits in the most magnificent hall of the Saudi Crown Prince's palace. And our final piece today is the masterpiece that outshines them all in fame. There's probably not a single person left on the planet who hasn't heard its name or seen a photograph of it. Films and documentaries have been made about it. As you've probably already guessed, the most magnificent work in the world, the Mona Lisa. According to Leonardo da Vinci, a work of art is never truly finished. It's simply abandoned. Leonardo kept working on the Mona Lisa for a full 16 years. With every brushstroke, he wove the very flow of his own life into that canvas. He rendered it down to the smallest detail, the finest, most microscopic detail. By the time he finished the painting in France, and by the time he died, the Mona Lisa was still sitting in the corner of his workshop. What made it so famous? Maybe it's the fact that it was stolen in 1911 by an Italian museum employee at the Louvre named Vincenzo Peruggia, or that in the 1950s, a visitor slashed the bottom of the canvas with a blade while another poured acid onto it, damaging the piece. Or maybe it's the 1974 incident at the Tokyo National Museum, when a woman in a wheelchair entered the museum and, as a form of protest, sprayed red paint onto the painting. But honestly, the single most important feature of this painting is her eyes. Look closely at the painting, and no matter which angle you view it from, the Mona Lisa seems to follow you, just like a living person would. In the art world, this is known as the Mona Lisa effect. Countless paintings have tried to recreate this exact effect since, but the most iconic of them all remains the Mona Lisa herself. And that's still not all. Whether the Mona Lisa is smiling or feeling something sadder actually depends entirely on how you look at her. Cover her nose and mouth with your hand and focus only on her eyes. Do that and you'll notice her eyes appear to be smiling at you. But pull back, cover her eyes instead, and look only at her mouth, and you'll notice the shape of it seems to carry a quiet sadness. Nowhere else in the world, in no other painting, will you ever find a depiction quite like this one. So, what do you think? Is the Mona Lisa smiling, or is she carrying some kind of sorrow? So if your travels ever take you to France, to Paris, to the Louvre Museum, make sure you visit this incredible masterpiece. And remember, her eyes are still looking for you. Leonardo da Vinci left half of his estate to the servant who cared for him, and the other half to charity. He loved doing good. Whenever he saw caged birds, he would buy them and set them free right there on the spot. And then one day, as happens to every human being, on May 2nd, 1519, legend says that Leonardo da Vinci took flight into freedom in the very arms of King Francois. His final words were, famously, quite striking. "I have offended God and mankind," the treasured master said, "because my work did not reach the quality it should have." Today we tried to get to know one of the greatest geniuses to ever walk this earth. Is the Mona Lisa smiling or is she sad? I'd love for you to try it yourselves and share your take with us. Let us know your thoughts down below. It would truly make our day. See you in our next deep dive. Stay curious, stay healthy, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.